Yeah, please.
Sorry for the delay.
Not at all.
IT dot wish.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice to see you for that.
Wonderful. Thankful that
We
you
are thinking of $200 million.
We're going to inside for some. Yes, sure. We just reached 2009. So I left by the yeah, it was other. I was in Ahmedabad till 2007, teaching there. Yeah, manufacturing. So I worked in that domain. Yeah. And I think our contribution to GDP must grow from 15 to 25 in manufacturing. That's where employment is also. Yeah. This is my colleague, Professor Gopal Naik. He has a very interesting project to talk to you about.
Sir, I also did the MLA orientation designing a common center in the Gram Panchayat. We have 15 Gram Panchayat. In order to deliver various services.
Whatever ready.
Both are ready.
Double. You have to put double.
Some sugar in milk.
You have to build. Capacity what you have.
Training of farmers, training
But make it very clear.
Yeah.
Skill enhancement.
Yeah, skill.
So they will.
See that?
Come.
One more tea.
See that what is happening? It's a good idea.
Look at this.
So we, apart from that, we also go to providing various kinds of information, especially market information.
State, district.
Yeah, what we are saying, yeah,
I don't know, the state, Kannada, how many?
5,700.
5,000.
And up to here, the government system is very strong in terms of officers. It won't flow from here to the rural areas. So I
What I believe. Now the water will flow here and there. Then the rain will be vanished. So they will come. See, our there in water we don't need. All the rain is gone waste. Recently, there is no water body. Because even water body is there, DCT is not there. One of the major tasks we have to build the capacity.
yes. And in fact, the CSE helps us to
So see that which.
I was with Professor Mukherjee.
Okay.
So I will keep this material.
Good idea.
Any time you want
You
to
add it. If you withdraw from them, how it will be self-sustainable?
sustainability, yeah. That's a very that's what we are working
He is an
on.
expert in the field of
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And environmental.
Yes. In fact, so that
You see some system working in rural area.
yeah. In the Gubbi Taluk, 15 Gram Panchayat, we are working. Gubbi Taluk. Gubbi Taluk is about 40. So
You
it's
go
a,
to Tumkur side.
yeah.
You may see that.
No. It's a
You
closer.
went recently to Tumkur.
Before Tumkur.
No, not before.
No, before
No, Chitradurga we went, you know.
If I give the entire product to a village, the capabilities required in assembling and manufacturing each one of them is diverse part concept. So if there are 50 parts,
Yeah, system they divide the subsystem.
yeah, subsystem. One village, one part.
Yes, Varna in the valley.
Kolhapur.
I'm ready.
But no, you better check whether the students are ready.
Sir, it's overflowing.
Huh? Okay, then let's go. now I'm Bangalore.
What is orbit law? Definitely.
Age is 39, right? And but the third and developed indigenously by no umbilical connection to anyone else outside.
Oh, I see.
Because Calcutta came. I think there are times when you need and there are times when you don't.
Now you don't need it.
Yeah, and I think
You know,
we were
Professor.
all right. So we created
New IIMs are coming.
Ji haan.
Each IIM will take around.
Yes. We take care of quickly. So we help whenever they need something.
Teachers.
But
What is it?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The big statue.
a huge round of applause again. Can I request Dr. Chandra to please greet His Excellency with a bouquet? Welcome, sir. An inauguration of Prayas by His Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I would like to thank him personally for taking out time and coming here to inspire us with his vision of empowering India. My name is Amit Chabra and I am the current EPGP student. I am also thankful to our Honorable Director Dr. Pankaj Chandra and EPGP Chairperson Dr. L. Prasad for extending all their support in organizing this event. Thank you so much, sir. About Prayas. Prayas is a social responsibility initiative organized by EPGP batch of IIM Bangalore. The event involves life-changing interventions for the underprivileged. Last year, the program organized a medical camp in conjunction with Jaipur Foot Organization and provided artificial limbs to around 50 people free of cost. This year, we are growing the scale of this camp and it involves the following. Providing artificial limbs, again with the help of partnering with Jaipur Foot Organization. Then returning eyesight lost due to cataract or any other eye-related injuries, partnering Vithala International Institute of Ophthalmology. And correcting cleft lip and other facial deformities, partnering K Craniofacial Foundation. The complete event is done with the help of volunteers from IIM Bangalore. It's monetary as well as administrative support. And I'm thankful to the partnering organizations who are helping us in doing this, as well as the IMB community who is involved in organizing Prayas. Thank you very much. So to kickstart this noble event today, I would request His Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to inaugurate by lighting a lamp along with Dr. Chandra and I would also request, I just wanted to let you know that Perumal is IMB ex-employee. So it gives a lot of pleasure for us to give him this. Thank you very much, sir. The Prayas event kickstarts today and the camps are organized this Sunday, that is 23rd. So all are requested to be there and support us on this event. Thank you. Now I'd like to call Dr. Pankaj Chandra to say a few words in honor of Dr. APJ Kalam.
Thank you very much, Amit. Good afternoon to all of you, and what a pleasant way of welcoming our President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam here at IIM Bangalore. You know, he needs no introduction. He's been here a few times and has been a phenomenal source of support, inspiration, and good thoughts for all of us here at IIM Bangalore. But it would indeed, for those who don't know, would indeed be a good idea to mention a little bit about where he's come from and what he's brought to the nation, both in terms of his own endeavors, his own stature, and his own thinking. Dr. Kalam was born on 15th October 1931 in Rameshwaram. He specialized in aeronautical engineering from Madras Institute of Technology and has made many contributions in this entire domain, both in launching of the first satellite launch vehicle SLV-3, and then was responsible for the evolution of ISRO's launch vehicle programs, particularly the PSLV. For those of you who don't know, PSLV is the most successful rocket launching system at ISRO, through which it launches a variety of international satellites. He was also responsible for development and operationalization of Agni and Prithvi missiles. Between 1992 and 1999, he was the scientific advisor to Defense Minister, during which time the weaponization of the systems in the Pokhran nuclear test took place. He then served as the principal scientific advisor to Government of India, which is the highest rank in that domain between 1999 and 2001, and was responsible for evolving policies and missions for many development applications of defense in our country. And finally, he became the president of India, one of the most loved presidents of this country, and came out with this entire thinking on how rural India needs to have resources that are equivalent or better than those that we will find in urban centers. So please join me in welcoming Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Friends, my greetings to all of you. And you know, wherever I go, they tell me my class will have 65 people. Why I land like this? Okay, doesn't matter. Nice to see all of you young faces. Friends, first of all, I would like to greet Professor Pankaj Chandra, who is a friend of mine, the director IIM Bangalore. And IIM Bangalore is the indigenous, I call it indigenous IIM, because without any umbilical connectivity, they have grown, natural growth they had. So I am very happy to be at the indigenous IIM Bangalore. And then Dr. L. Prasad, EPGV chairperson, and all of you friends, I value meeting all of you. And I have prepared for you talk. And I don't know, what is your tolerance level? Lunch is waiting for you, isn't it? That's a limit? That's a limit? No limit. You know, just I came late 15 minutes, then 15 minutes was director's office. So that's what happened. Now, when I was attending the IT.biz 2011, a conference of CEOs of this country in IT. And one of the I took it, the topic was how to make IT, throughout, these guys, throughout, all the IT fields, there's a pressure from America, there's a pressure from Europe, and fortunately our IT business has not the victim of that. So I was telling them how you have to change. You have to change from software house to knowledge system powerhouse. You have to transform into. I was talking to them. Then one interesting happened. Large number of gathering there. I gave a oath. The oath was CEO's. CEO's oath. Hello, you want to talk? CEO's oath was. I gave all of the IT CEOs that oath. So oath was, they took the oath. The oath, you know what it is? I will work with integrity and succeed with integrity. I will work with integrity, and they are doing business of $88 billion business, $88 billion. Now they are dreaming $200 billion another the decade's time. They want to graduate IT business, graduate to $200 billion, 88. So if you want to graduate to $88 billion to $200 billion, one of the great managerial and ethical quality you must have, work with integrity and succeed with integrity. Do you agree? How many of you agree? How many? All of you agree? Then you will be a great CEOs or great entrepreneurs in that case, because India needs people of great entrepreneurs of ethics, and they all work with integrity, succeed with integrity. That's the future currency. That's the future currency. Friends, now, when I with all of you, I recall a situation in 1990. Beginning is just a beginning of 1990. I was interacting with the youth of Ahmedabad, about 75,000 youth. They are all below 20 years, boys and girls. So when I finished my talk, how India should be an economically developed nation, one girl got up. And she said, Kalam, when I can sing a song of India, when I can sing a song of India, I was astonished. That question really, I'm not digest that 1990s, when I can sing a song of India. Then I called the girl to the dais, tell me what do you mean? And she went to the mic and she said, her brother, he's in San Francisco, and every Friday evening, weekend evening, he calls his father, mother, and his sister, this girl, and gives a Song of America. Song of America, America is beautiful. America rivers are clean. America people earning capacity very high. And you have all the knowledge there. Everything is there. So I'm hearing every weekend a Song of America, uncle. You please tell me when I can sing a Song of India. It's a fantastic question. When I can sing a Song of India. So that's how we evolved what is called India 2020 vision. We started generating through Technology Information Forecasting Council. Then a new situation, 2000, when I met a gathering in Amaravati, our president's constituency, Maharashtra. There I had 1.2 lakhs young people. There, what is your core competence? I asked them, the youth, let them come out. He said, we can do it. Okay, we can do it. And they took a vote, I can do it, we can do it, India will do it. That's the confidence, I can do it, they were saying. I can do it for India. Now recently, this decade, when I'm addressing the youth, there's a new difference coming in. That is, what can I give? The same youth, 90 to 2011, see the transformation taking place in the youth. When I can sing a Song of India, actually even our Obama is singing the Song of India nowadays. So what this girl asked 1990, it seems to be that youth are, 600 million youth are there in India, 600 million. In democratic country, we are the biggest youth force we have. Youth force, the ignited mind of the youth, is the most powerful resource on the earth, above the earth, under the earth. So these people are changing. When I can sing a song of India too, what can I give to India? And then I can do it, then what can I give to India? The three-dimensional approach is there. So friends, now a new trend today when I meet, so I recently along with my youth team has started a youth movement called What Can I Give movement for the youth. And this movement it's discussed in www.whatcanigive.info. Nearly 100,000, 120,000 youth have joined in the What Can I Give? That's the movement. Many things you can give, but I'm not going to deal with that. You can hit in my website and see that. Now friends, a couple of years back, I have a privilege of being part of the conference organized by the elected representative of Karnataka legislature, IIM Bangalore. I'm supposed to take class for 200 members of legislatures in the same place? Same place. I took a very interesting class, 200 people. But I prepared for the class. That is, before that, I sent a questionnaire. Unfortunately, I didn't send a questionnaire to you. I sent a question to all of them. For example, each legislator I asked, how many water bodies in your constituency is there? He answered, how many water bodies are working? And that means you have to desilt it, you have to desilt it. Then how many water bodies are really vanished? In Coimbatore, I saw how a vanished water bodies, and there is a lady, she has recovered with the district collector joint. So like that I asked number of questions, they answered also. Based on that, I interacted with them. So what was revealing to me in the preparation and contact of the conference was the opportunities that can unfold in such a collaboration. That is, for the politicians, we should not we have to participate in their dreams. Friends, governance is the key issue before citizens of our country and the world. No individual is alone, no village is alone, no state is alone, no country is alone. And management, what you are all here, and management is the scientific system of finding innovative methods for result-oriented, time, quality, cost-effective mission for the welfare and the prosperity of the people. And a budding professional in this area, I would urge you to come out with the out-of-box ideas of relevance for governance, efficient, fast, result-oriented, and corruption-free, above all leading to an India which has been proud destination of anyone from any part of the world. Friends, I am delighted to be with the Indian Institute of Management, IIM Bangalore, and address and interact with the students and faculty members in the executive postgrad program EPG. How many are from EPGP? Minorities. Friends, let me share a thought with all of you. As you know, with each passing year, the earth goes around the sun, isn't it? For example, I am in the 81st orbit around the sun. What is my age? I am in the 81st orbit around the sun. 80. How many of you feel 80? 80 fellows are correct. Because I have not completed 81st orbit. I finished 80 orbits. Your IIM completed 38 times it has gone around the sun. The IIM Bangalore. Now it's 39th year. Am I right? Or 40th orbit?
40th orbit.
Okay. So 39 orbits have come. Age of this IIM Bangalore is 39. They are the 40th orbit. Okay, friends? So, as you know, with each passing year, the earth goes around that axis. As members of each unique institution, which is pride to the nation, all of you, each one of you will come from different institution. And if you don't mind, I still, even though today I'm giving you for 1 hour, I'll be with you. I'll interact with you. You send a mail to me, apj@abdulkalam.com. And any question, I will be interacting with you wherever you are. Now, yeah, as members of each unique institution, which is a pride to the nation, all of you carry an incomparable heritage and also share a deep responsibility to live up to the reputation of your institution in both thought and action. When I'm talking to you, I always feel how with all these excellent faculties and students here, with a vibrant nation, we can break the bounds and be amongst the top 10 institutions across the globe. I am Bangalore. I dream to be first 10, sir, first 10. A big job, but it should be done. After all, wherever I visited, one thing I found, even Taiwan, I visited 2 of the universities, they are included out of 100, 2 numbers are there. Only research, teaching, research. That is research. The great research leads to great teaching. Great teaching leads to great research. Research, teaching, research. Then definitely this great institution will be one of the 10. And definitely it is possible. Global and not mere national competition has to be our dream from now. I am also happy to inaugurate the event just now, the Prayas 2011 here, and I am glad to Prayas is a social responsibility. Just now I fitted a forum. It's a social responsibility initiative organized by EPGB batch of IIM Bangalore, involving life-changing intervention for underprivileged people, and my greetings to all of you. Friend, the topic I'm going to talk to you in next 30 minutes, dynamics of an empowered nation. Dynamics of the, what is the topic? Dynamics of the empowered nation. Dear students, I have seen 3 Indias, okay? You will be seeing only one India, you guys. I have seen 3 Indias in my life. First, this was childhood, British India, okay? I was born in the British India, and high school, up to high school, I was in the British India. When I got freedom, I was in the high school final year, okay? And I happened to see the first independence when he was a high school boy. And it is the vision of independence led by great leaders at that time, Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Nehru, many other leaders source. Then I witnessed another India, that is post-1947, after independence, which was independent but still strived for recognition and recuperating from the losses of the colonial rule for more than a century. It was an India of hopes and dreams, that second India I saw. That one day the nation will establish self-sufficient in food, strong economy, a position respect in the international arena, which truly deserves. Many leaders and scientists, servicemen, social reformers chiseled the nation for decades, bringing glory to the economic development, social equity, and vibrant democracy. Now, then I saw the third phase of India, an era which belongs to the youth like yourself. It is a land of opportunities, of growth previously unimaginable rates, a strong working force, of technological leadership, and 6 decades back few would have ventured to imagine that the nation of diversity, often termed as an experiment democracy, would eventually find its place among the top economies of the world, would have world-class education institutions, and be the first to discover water on the lunar surface. We are the first to discover. The 3 Indias I have witnessed are wide apart from, of course, there are still many issues which you as a youth have to address, including poverty, illiteracy, corruption. Today in my lecture, I shall focus on the solution to these pressing issues of the modern times. And you can see how you can be a partner. Let me share with you my unique experience in my 1990s on formulation of India Vision 2020 strategies. I was given the task of sharing a technology information forecasting assessment council called TIFAC. This is a national team. I recollect that in the first meeting of the council itself, we took a decision that TIFAC must evolve a plan how India can be transformed into economically developed nation by the year 1990. India was a very bad situation. Our gold, we are about to sell all the gold. When the suggestion was mooted, everybody was wondering how we can evolve such a long-term vision under then prevailing economic and social condition of the country. That was the time that then Prime Minister had just announced the economic liberalization, actually our time, economic liberalization and growth measure for Indian economy, and its impact just started being felt. In spite of this, the Council IFAC, with many young members, jumped to the idea. And we discussed for one full day on how we can translate the thought into action. At that time, our economy was growing around 5 to 6% per annum in GDP. We have to envisage a growth rate of at least 10% per annum, consistently for 10 years for realizing the developer vision of 1 billion democratic people of multilingual, multi-religious and multicultural characteristics. The members of TIFAC Council at that time included Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister and 9 Secretaries to the Government of India, Chiefs of CII, ASOCHAM, FICCI, Chairman IDPI, ICISI, FSI Chairman, all you name all the guys, Vice Chancellors of different universities and scientists from DST. We debated and arrived at 17 task teams with over 500 members who we had consultation with over 5,000 people in various sectors of the economy. Committees worked for over 2 years, resulting 25 reports, which was presented to then Prime Minister of India on 2nd, 1996. The reports included vision on areas such as agro-food processing, advanced sensors, civil aviation, electric power, waterways, road transportation, telecommunication, food and agriculture, engineering industries, healthcare, life sciences and biotechnology, material and processing, and the electronic and communication, chemical process industry, services, as strategies and driving force. And also we were discussing driving forces and impedances. That is what will prevent us in development. So the transforming India into developed nation implies that every citizen of the country lives well above the poverty line. Their education and health is of high standard, and national security assured and core competence in certain major areas enable production of quality goods competitively, including for exports, bringing all-round prosperity for the country, for the national people. This event led to the birth of a book, India 2020, Vision for India 2020, a vision for the new millennium. Based on various inputs, the government announced the vision statement that India will become an economically developed nation by 2020. Such a statement very rare, since every government is elected only for a period of 5 years. And thinking over 20 years time frame by the parliament and the government set a new precedent for the country. Now let me present you the current ambience of the nation. The Indian economy was growing at an average 9% per annum till 2008. In 2009 and 2009 to 10, Indian economy has got affected due to the global economic turbulence. But nevertheless, it grew over 7% in the year of global recession. Even these two economic zones of US and European still looking bleak. India is still growing at 7.7% in the second quarter of 2011. I was asking myself, what type of innovation is needed to enrich the Indian economy and the other world economies in the present circumstances? I had discussion on this subject with many experts, including those from IIMs. It came to light that the Indian economy will be less affected due to the world financial crisis. This is due to, number one, the liberalization process in India has check and balances. We have to go full liberalization. A liberalization process in India has checks and balances consistent with the unique social requirements of the country. The Indian banking system has always been conservative, which has prevented the crisis, what happened across the Atlantic Ocean. The Indian psyche is generally saving oriented, and living within the means is a part of a mindset. Our lot of gold with our women have, Indian women, you know. These three causes have reduced the effect of the global turbulence in the Indian economy and given it inherent strength. Sectors like automobile, cement, and financial services are posting significant gains. This is the time the innovation has been encouraged in our thinking in regenerate agriculture sector, particularly through value addition and the small and medium scale industries to enterprises for making higher levels of contribution to the GDP, particularly in the agriculture, rural development and imaginative products. I foresee possibilities of creating new markets through rural potential and employment, giving rise to interesting possibilities for public-private citizen partnership and international partnership, particularly the executive postgraduate program students. You have projects? How many months you do? 3 months projects. So now what I am discussing, it is in my website, the talk I am giving you, www.abdulkalam.com. So there I will be talking how the rural development, 600,000 villagers, how do we bring the economy there? That is how do you increase the employment generation potential in the villages? How do we the migration of the rural people to urban area? How do we avoid? I'm going to talk to you. You can each one 3 or 4 of you can join together. You can make some projects. Suppose you come from Gujarat, you take 4 villages. How you transform the 4 villages using the Pura providing urban amenities, or you come from Rajasthan, or from Bihar, anywhere. So the people can join together and evolve an economic proposal for the rural villages. Then you can send to the district collector to be executed that also. Now, at the domestic level, India is focusing on bringing sustainable development through rural and urban infrastructure, quality education, healthcare, environmental upgradation, bringing vibrancy in the public institution for better and enhanced delivery of essential public services on time, reforming the financial system for better global integration and a proactive regulatory system. Now it is critical to success of India becoming a global player. 64 years of democratic vibrancy in providing leadership to the nation gives confidence to manage the socio-economic turbulences and providing the leadership to the 1.25 billion people in a democratic, multicultural, multilingual, multi-religious environment. With this ambience, let me give my visualization of India during the year 2020, another 9 years' time. I am going to tell you, which will enable you to take up one or more of the pillars as your mission for national development. The 10 pillars of development I am going to give you, and 3 or 4 of you can join for each pillar of development, put your thoughts and some creative proposal you can create. Distinct problem of the nation by 2020. Number 1, a nation where the rural and urban divide has reduced to a thin line. That means 600,000 villages we have, 75% of the people they live there, 750 million people live there. But there is a divide, urban-rural divide. How do you connect it? That's one of the great mission waiting for us, waiting for you, all of you. Second one, nation where there is equitable distribution and adequate access to energy and quality water. Third one, a nation where agriculture, industry and service sector work together in symphony. A nation where education value system is not denied to any meritorious candidate because of societal or economic discrimination. A nation which is the best destination for the most talented scholars, scientists and investors. A nation where the best of healthcare is available to all. A nation where the governance is responsive, transparent and corruption-free. A nation where poverty has been totally eradicated, illiteracy removed, and crimes against women and children are absent, none in the society feels alienated. A nation that is prosperous, healthy, secure, devoid of terrorism, peaceful, happy, and continues with a sustainable growth path. Last one, a nation that is one of the best places to live in and is proud of its leadership. Now I said all beautiful things. Now to achieve the distinct problem of India, We have the mission of transforming India into developed nation. We have identified 5 areas, Government of India, with the government, we have identified 5 areas where India has a core competence for integrated action: agriculture, agro-food processing, education and healthcare, so that the women education that takes the priority and balanced growth will be there. And then the information communication technology to connecting 600,000 villages, and then infrastructure, reliable and quality electric power, surface transport and infrastructure for all parts of the country. Fifth one, self-reliant critical technology. This critical technology, because during the nuclear test, when we did nuclear test, we did lot of consent came worldwide from world developed world. So we don't want to be in future get into so develop certain critical technology. These 5 areas correlated progress in an integrated way, leading to national progress and progress and development. Let me now focus on how to make such a vision for an empowered and developed nation possible. Friends, out-of-box ideas needed to meet the distinctive profile, that 10 profile I have given to you. Each one of you has got a vision there. What will be required for achieving the distinct profile of the nation are out-of-box ideas and innovation. You must also remember that the challenges faced by the nation are diverse, yet they are common across the different nations which require cooperation across the borders. Technological complexities and cost factors in solving issues like water, energy independence, environment, energy independence means graduating from fossil fuel to the solar power, nuclear power, wind power, biofuel and hydropower. So the energy independence, environment protection, health will require intense cooperation in research and development and operationalization by many nations. So we need to work together to understand and protect against the fury of nature like earthquakes, cyclones, flood and famine. The recent economic turbulence has taught us the need for a resilient economy. The youth of the nation are ready to contribute to development. We need to enable them with global cadre skills, sets and higher education skills. We have to combine our vigilance against terrorism of any kind. Of course, we have to fight against common enemies of illiteracy, poverty, corruption, threat menace, and other diversion of the development, corruption. The art, music, sports are indeed integrating factors for unification of human mind. Now, friends, I am going to put forth you, this is the subject of the discussion, Global Sustainable Development System. Global Sustainable Development System. Friends, I will be discussing with you 3 aspects. The first is how multiple nations can join together along their core competencies to deliver common development beneficial to all. For this, I shall be narrating to you an example of a unique missile system which was developed jointly by India and Russia. The second important aspect which I am putting forth is the sustainable development system for sustaining for rural prosperity of the nation. And that system what we have evolved, I am going to present to you. Next, I will address how, while nation makes progress, it is important to diversify our spheres of welfare to include other nation societies, thereby also be a partner in international societal responsibility. In conclusion, I will be presenting a linkage between the national economic development and creative leadership. A break for you for 5 minutes discussion. No? Whatever I said, you may like to put your ideas or ask questions. Okay? Otherwise, I will be only talking. Okay? Okay? You will ask. Yes. Somebody ask. One of you ask, then everybody will ask.
Okay, there's one there at the top. Would you just identify yourself?
Yes.
Hello sir, I am Rohit Singh from the APGP batch. My question is, one of the strengths of India is its diversity, but it is also one of its, in some ways, its weaknesses. When do you think India will be able to rise above, the issues of basically caste and religion and so on and so forth? Do you think it's possible sometime in the near future? Can we expect that to happen?
I was addressing the Queen University. No? Queen University abroad. They have got a Northeast and the South Asian Students Association. One Pakistan boy asked me, same question. He said, Kalam, we are 1947 onwards, we are at war, one way or other. And some problem happening. Do you think any time we will work together? Any time we work together. So I told him that, Europe was fighting for hundreds of years, isn't it? And they created two world wars, World War I and II. They created. I addressed April 2007 as a president in the European Parliament with 800 members. Peace and prosperity, their message. So such a deviated people among themselves they are fighting. Today they are working for world peace and prosperity. Okay. So similar way in India, even though we have multiple religions, multiple culture and multiple languages, we have one unity of mind, that is when we give a vision, we give a great vision, we can connect them. Answer to you, the vision always connects the people. And the second one is when the economic growth advances, education advances, then the differences will melt away. That's my hope. Okay? Yes. Yes?
Yes, hi.
Right.
I'm Puneet. My question was, this was sort of good to know about the national mission and big things that really our country needs. So as an individual, while continuing our jobs and work activities, we would like to know more about how we can really contribute to the national development mission while we carry on our day-to-day thing and carry on our jobs.
And that's why the 10 pillars of development I listed now. Okay? I put there in my paper also there. So I believe the economic development, if you take 4 villages, what is needed? Physical connectivity, electronic connectivity, knowledge connectivity, give it the economic connectivity. I'm going to talk about it, okay? Carefully hear me. I will get a solution for your question, okay? Okay. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So you talked about two things in your slide. One is you said that we should develop a country such that we really respect our leadership. And earlier in your talk, you also mentioned that all of us should be participate in the political process. I think one of the core issues that we have here is that many of the educated people in various institutions don't participate in the voting process, don't participate in the electoral process. I would like to propose one idea. I would like your views on that. Would it not be possible for education institutions to actually take responsibility of enrolling all their students in their electoral rolls? And
All students?
all their students within the electoral rolls. Would it not be a huge opportunity where the younger generation will actually participate more in the political process? I would like to know your views on that.
See, after the recent election revealed that electorate responding 70 to 80%. See, we have graduated 45 to 50%, 70 to 80% after the voting rights given to young people 18 age it was given. So my feeling is it is not the education alone will help, but the respect to the politics. See, we all have to realize, suppose I developed India 2020, I developed a missile program. Missile program is large money. I have to go to the parliament. So through politician we have to go. Parliament is governed by politics. That's why we need a visionary parliament. Okay, visionary parliament. And then fortunately one good news is for all of you, the last few elections, the state election revealed, that is what is called, I defined politics, in parliament I defined politics equal to development politics plus political politics. Political politics means one party will say that I am this party, I can do everything, so you elect me. That is political. He has to get elected, he or she has to be elected as a legislator or parliament member. That is political politics. Development politics means That one party will say, I can develop in India in 10 years' time economically developed. Another party will say, not only economically developed, I will make great citizens also of things. So competition between two people. So people have to elect. So what is trend is set now is development politics. Whoever made the state economically developed, that party again elected. It's a good message we are getting. You can analyze that. You can analyze some of the states. 4 to 5 states are successful in the developmental politics. What we need development politics? Of course, education important. I visualized here in the same place, there were 200 legislators were there. I took class for them. Okay. Then they took the oath, all of them. I will work with integrity and succeed with integrity. One guy asked me, one legislator asked me from Karnataka, he asked me, Kalam, you asked me to take a oath, I took the oath. Do you know how much I spent to get elected? Okay, legislator. He said some number he gave. All the guys were there, all the top guys, political guys were there. I turned to them, they did not answer. But the answer is state has to fund. Number one, your idea we have to develop, we cannot have 100 parties. We should go, finally we should graduate 2 or 3 party system, number one. Then state can fund the parties. So then the corruption limit also will come down. Okay?
So one more question of personal.
No, only one question because the other
just one comment I want to make.
Let give some others a chance.
Just one
hold
comment.
on, please.
No, you sent a mail to me, apj@abdulkalam.com.
I want to take a course in IIM Ahmedabad. I want you to take a course in IIM Bangalore as well.
Acha, here you want me, eh?
Good afternoon, sir.
I took
Good afternoon,
I
sir.
am
Question.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right here. On your right.
So my name is Shilpi. I'm a student of postgraduate program in public policy. So I have a question here. When I was just looking at the slide, and you've seen this slide many times that India growth rate of 8%, 9%, where there are some countries who are growth rate of negative growth rate also. But isn't it we are projecting only a half picture when we know what the reality is inside? That one side we are joining the millionaires and the trillionaires club every day. Other side there are farmers who are consuming pesticides and committing
It's
suicide.
reduced now, okay.
Yes, it's reduced now, yes. But isn't the contrast too stark? And isn't it the half picture only, that 9% growth rate, when it's not being percolated to people to the majority of the population?
See, I personally believe that 8% with GDP growth, one is we have one economic factor. It doesn't say for example, with the total system, 400 million people are below poverty line today. That is nearly 40% of the people below poverty line. That's why we need the India 2020 vision to lift them. That means our GDP, when it's growing 10%, what we are trying to do is the economic prosperity we are bringing. For example, the tool for that is called Pura. Pura means providing urban amenities to the rural area. There is 600,000 villages. They are clustered to 7,000 Puras. There we bring the physical connectivity, electronic connectivity, knowledge connectivity to bring the economic connectivity. That's how the poverty can be removed. So one of the focus of India 2020 vision, the tool is Pura. Economic development of 400 people, unless you graduate them from poverty. No, from poverty, India is not an economically developed nation. That way, 9 years' time, you and me will work hard. Okay? Anyone? You are hungry, yeah? Yes. Yes.
Role, status, what they do, not based on their personality, character. So, to sustain this, we definitely need to move away after we achieve this from economic-based system to the value-based system. I mean, how do you see where that fits in your idea? in your region?
Actually, the India 2020 vision visualizes a India of economically developed, poverty-free, and also great citizens of ethics also. I'm going to come for next few minutes. I'm going to talk about how we need value-based citizens also. Throughout, I'm talking about it. Many questions I answered also. See, India's economic development is not free from the citizens of great. The first thing else you all took oath, I will work with integrity and succeed with integrity. What does it mean? Succeed with integrity means what it means? I am working for economic prosperity, but I will do all this economic prosperity through proper integrity of self, ethics with value system. That is the first line I talk to you today. Do you follow?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir. Get up. Yeah, it's working.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I am Sandeep, second year student of PGP batch. So I am completely impressed with your roadmap for the 2020 as far as development is concerned. But one of the most neglected sector in rural India is healthcare. So we still
what is the neglected one?
Neglected sector
is healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare. So I would like to know what is your healthcare vision for the 2020 as such? What is the vision you have for a healthy India?
Now I have the 10 pillars. I think 6th pillar or 7th pillar. 6th pillar is healthcare for all. Okay, there's a statement there. That means the health, education, and capacity building in the individual. All the three have to go together. Is not individually separated. Suppose if a person is not having a capacity to earn, he doesn't care his children. He does not care his children educated or health care. Okay, you will do the minimum. That also you made a distinction between girl child and a male child. So it is very important for a society of equity to have economic development, build a capacity in the individual family so that he or she earns. Okay, that I will be talking about that. Okay, see? Okay? Yes, sir.
So, good afternoon, sir. And I just wanted to ask, when we speak of development, we speak of growth rate, this much growth rate, 9%, 10%. But when you see that this development is also a double-edged blade, at the same when we are developing, there are many human rights violations. Many things are happening. Even today, Dalits are being differentiated, many things. So why are we so much behind the Western model of development? When we have a Gandhian model of development, but why are we so much behind the Western model of development? So many
behind Western model.
Yeah, Western model, like the growth
Why should we
rates.
follow Western model?
Yeah, Western
That's
model.
your question.
Yeah. So we have a Gandhian model also.
Yeah, Gandhian model is fantastic model. Pura providing urban amenities to rural area is an Indian model 100%. Okay, the two, see, there's not be any doubt the economic development of the nation should be done in a particular time. Okay, poverty should be removed. At the same time, how to do it, we have got a tool. The Pura is a rural, providing urban amenities in the rural area. Even America, USA want to follow Pura. Okay, in Africa, many countries want to Pura. Pura is an Indian model. Should be rest assured about it.
But I'm speaking of the overall growth tendency, the approach of the governments has been towards the industry. Where do we create CES? Where do we create a convenient environment for the industrialists, rather than for we are not giving thrust more, as you told, to health as that for that matter. Even the health facilities, even today, the child mortality rates in various parts of the country are very high. So still we think of development, but still our basic amenities as such are in a very bad shape.
No, I want you to understand, when we say that development, economically developed nation, it is not devoid of education or healthcare or anything. It is inclusive.
But these are the constraints so that they cannot come to the...
Why?
Because they don't have the money power and the muscle power. Because I need to get crorepati to come into the political arena. That's right. Thank you, sir.
See, my feeling is yesterday also, I addressed media. Okay, media meet was there. One question is about corruption. Okay, corruption. corruption is not territory of only politicians, I want to tell you that. It is not the territory of only politicians. Everybody has privilege. That means we need families of 200 million families we have in this country. 200 million families. We have to have great children should come out of those families. That is possible with value system. Then the school, primary school, and the great teachers. So when we are talking about the India 2020 vision, we should talk about, we are talking simultaneously, how do you create a great families of ethics? 200 million houses, it is expected 60 million houses are corrupt. Okay, so we'll discuss that, okay? So friends, now convergence of core competence, I want to talk to you for a few minutes. Convergence, because that's what you are going to enter in a big way. Convergence of core competencies. Now, first, let me explain how India has used hard cooperation with other nations based on its core competence to evolve world-class products and systems. One of the significant technology breakthrough is called BrahMos development. Here, I am going to give you an example. BrahMos, even though it's a defense, it can be applicable to the civilian sector, any commercial sector also. You know, we happen to, myself involved in the defense work initially, and I visited one Russian laboratory. His FOMO is called FOMO, name of the scientist FOMO. He's a defense scientist, first submarine missile he has made. So I visited his laboratory. It's a top secret laboratory I visited, and I found some unique core competence visible in there, in that laboratory, 2 laboratories I visited, which I have not seen anywhere in the world. Then when I visited FOMO to my country, to India, and he visited my laboratories, research center Imarat at Hyderabad, 2 laboratories again visited. FOMO core competence, he identified 2 core competence. So we found these 2 plus 2, 4 core competencies, India and Russia, something unique we can do. Then our scientists, both Russia and India, joined together, about 20 scientists. They brought out a paper. That paper says if you invest $300 million each, 150 each country, then $300 million investment will lead to world-class system of a missile system. World-class means first supersonic cruise missile will come in the world. So fortunately, I was in a position to go to the Prime Minister of the government and get the sanction of $150 million. Similarly, my friend FOMO, because he's an academician in Russia, he too got $150 million. Now we put $300 million. This example I'm giving you so that you can think of how to bring the core competence of multiple nations within India also. So we brought this core competence, we designed and developed a supersonic cruise missile called BrahMos. The CEO of that is Mr. Dr. Sridhar Pillai. And this $300 million business, what we invested, today it has become about $10 billion business, marketable products. It's going on. What a message I'm giving you. The BrahMos is an example of technology cooperation leading to economic benefit for the partnering nation and adds value to number of institutions in both countries. BrahMos joint venture shows how core competencies of 2 countries they can be brought together for addressing the need of particularly societal transformation. In the project itself as a corporate social responsibility like Prayas, support was given to extend the benefit of the lightweight calipers to spin off from the missile technology to 30,000 polio-affected children from India, Thailand, Laos, and the Asian countries. The next one, I'm going to talk to you, Pura activated, many questions, it will answer that. The need of the hour is the evolution of, watch what I'm saying, sustainable system which acts as an enabler and bring inclusive growth and integrated development to the nations of the world. One such sustainable development system is the mission of the provision of urban amenities in the rural area, that's called Pura. So quite often I was talking about it. Through creation of Pura, how it comes? Through 3 connectivities, namely physical connectivity, electronic connectivity, knowledge connectivity, leading to economic connectivity. The number of Pura for the whole country we have estimated is about 7,000, covering 600,000 villages where 750 million people live. Now what Pura means that the villages must be connected within themselves and with the main towns, metros, through by good roads and wherever needed by railway lines. They must have other infrastructure like school, colleges, hospital, amenity for local population and visitors. This is the physical connectivity. In the emerging knowledge era, the native village has to be preserved, native knowledge has to be preserved and enhanced with the latest tools of technology and training and research. The villages have to have access to good education from the best teachers wherever they are, must have the benefit of good medical treatment and must have the latest information on their pursuit like agriculture, fishery, horticulture and food processing. This means they have to have an electronic connectivity. I talked once physical and electronic connectivity are enabled, the knowledge connectivity enabled. And that can facilitate the ability to increase the productivity, the utilization of spare time, awareness of health welfare, ensuring a market for products, increasing the quality conscious, interacting with partners, getting the best equipment, increasing the transparency. So in general, it is called knowledge connectivity. That is build the core competence. Once the three connectivity, physical, electronic and knowledge connectivity are ensured, they facilitate adding capacity, leading to economic connectivity. When we provide urban amenities to rural areas, we can lead to upliftment of the rural areas, we can attract investors, we can introduce effective useful system like rural PPO, microfinance and small scale industries. As I said, the number of Pura for the whole of India is estimated as 7,000 covering 600,000 villages where 700 million people live. There are a number of operational Pura in India initiated by many educational, healthcare institutions, industry and other institutions. Government of India is already moving ahead with the implementation of Pura on the national scale across the several districts of India. Let me present a platform which is a unique enterprise-driven model of sustainable welfare model through idea of Pura Activated. The essence of Pura Activated is the belief that Pura enterprise of the next generation need to think of the relationship workforce as a beyond being provider for mere livelihood. The Pura Activated envisages in the overall integrated development of the rural population in the Pura complex. Moreover, we have the vision of sustainable socio-economic business model which are as vertically integrated network of multiple entrepreneurs who share synergies and provide value addition to each other, leading to overall benefit of the stakeholders. The Pura Activated has two kinds of entrepreneurs. My friend Srijan, he's there. He's the one he has designed the resource entrepreneurs and another type of social entrepreneur. Say a few words. He's the designer. He is from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. You like that Ahmedabad word?
Okay, so basically the idea of having a Pura Activated is, so you'll better connect because the MBA mentality is here. So the idea is to create sustainable systems at the rural level. Yeah. So why should we have systems which need support all the time? So maybe a couple of years and then like a investment model, we have to deal with the idea of rural development. We have to build on the local competencies as we just talked about. And to do that, we thought that the best way to do is to generate local entrepreneurs, because there'll be a better connect with the people. The local entrepreneurs would understand the local needs, would be able to better harness the local resources. So there are two kinds of connected entrepreneurs. I'll just briefly finish this. Resource entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs. Now the resource entrepreneurs, what these guys will do is essentially use the local potential, which may be agro things, which may be some traditional art and culture, which may be tourism, and all sorts of activities which a rural area has, and build on it, build on the enterprise. And that has to be a vertically connected model, vertically connected to move the product up the value chain, and each layer of this value chain will have a set of entrepreneurs. And that's the balancing of enterprises which we have to do as a resource entrepreneur. The measurement would come obviously in terms of the income levels, the, if you can call the gross village product of that area. But that's not enough because we are also trying to stem the rural, the migration into urban areas from rural areas, and for that we need to generate the best workforce and also good entrepreneurs at the rural levels. So for that you need social entrepreneurs. Social entrepreneurs will take care of generating good, healthy, educated workforce which would suffice the requirements of the local resource entrepreneurs. And a social entrepreneur will work on things like school, vocational training, healthcare systems,
even societal peace. They will work on societal
yes,
peace.
now that you've mentioned, there's something called the Samaj Shilp Dampatis, which are couples, both are graduate, and this happens in Chitrakoot Pura model, where across 500 villages, each village has been placed with the Samaj Shilp Dampati, which are like the social entrepreneurs. They live in the rural areas, and they educate people about what's the best month to cultivate, what is the way to do a water conservative irrigation because water is an issue over there, how to resolve social conflict. So all 500 villages do not have a legal case against each other, absolutely zero. So that's because
they resolve. They within that's a legal conflict-free villages, 500 villages. That is, they resolve the problem themselves. That is, they got a judge.
And they, as you can see, they all kind of strengthen it. Thank you.
So you heard about the two type of entrepreneurs. Now another area is the International Pan-African Ghee Network. This I want to tell you, we can't live alone. India cannot economically develop and happily live alone. Because as long as your neighbors or other nation, there's a difference in the economic level and societal difference level, and we have to encounter in different forms. So when I was a president in 2006, I visited Johannesburg, Africa, South Africa. There I addressed what is called Pan-African Parliament. Pan-African Parliament is the nation of about 53 countries, and I addressed them. Then on behalf of India, I proposed, India is willing to spend about $100 million with your core competence. We can connect you by, that is e-connectivity, e-healthcare, that is the Pan-African Network project was estimated to cost around 100 million for India as a part of the 12 universities, 7 India from 5 Africa, 7 super specialty hospitals, 12 from India, 5 from Africa, 53 telemedicine centers, 53 teleeducation centers in Africa will be connected. And now I understand more than 43 countries have been connected, and this year, next year they will complete the whole project. The message I am giving you, that India small amount what you spend, but 58 nations benefit, and our friendship, our social fabric. The Pan-African Network is an enabler which has a cascading effect on socio-economic development of many developing nations and its societies. This we are showcase our enterprises of the tomorrow should look at the avenues of bringing about value addition to such enablers. Now, linkage between national development create a last point. See, so far I was talking creative, that is national economic development, but for all this, finally we need creative leaders. So, if you want, you can participate what I am going to talk. Since I am in the midst of academics from the IIM Bangalore, let me discuss the linkage between national economic development and creative leadership. It starts like this. Yes, nation's economic development is powered by competitiveness, isn't it? Nation's economic development is powered by competitiveness. Competitiveness is powered by knowledge power. The knowledge power is powered by technology and innovation. Technology and innovation is powered by, this you should know, there is a resource investment. Otherwise technology will be in the cupboard. The resource investment is powered by return on investment. Now return on investment is powered by revenue. These are all will be taught also. Revenue is powered by volume and repeat sales. Volume and repeat sales is powered by customer loyalty. The customer loyalty is powered by quality and value of products. Quality and value of products powered by employee productivity and employee innovation. And employee loyalty is powered by employee satisfaction. Employee satisfaction is powered by working environment, where he or she works. Working environment is powered by management innovation. The management innovation is powered by creative leadership. You know where I started, where I ended. I started the economic development of the nation. Finally, I landed into creative leadership. For success, the success in all the mission, it is essential to have creative leaders. I hope the institution like IIM create creative leaders. Creative leadership means exercising the vision to change the traditional role from a commander. You will not be a commander. Creative leader will never be a commander. He will coach, if you coach, he or she. Manager to mentor, from director to delegator, from one who demands respect to one who facilitates self-respect. For enhancing the enterprise value, we need a large number of creative leaders in our country. Now, in conclusion, friends, now I would like to recall Maharishi Patanjali of Yoga Sutra, 3000 years back. In Yoga Sutra, a sloga is there, which goes like this. When you are, Maharishi Patanjali says, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some great extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitation. Your conscience expands in every direction. And you find yourself a new and great, wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive. And you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamt yourself to be. That's 3000 years back. Dear friends, now we can discuss for positive solution for realizing the visualization of the distinctive profile of 2020. In an integrated way, you will be contributing your thoughts as well. With many hundreds of intellectual hours, we can achieve together. The interaction will enrich me through varying types of input. I visualize a scene what my student from IIM Bangalore will be remembered for. You will be definitely doing something different, out of box vision. What are they? What are they? How you will get transformed? Will you be remembered? Will you be remembered for creating a company which finds a place on the top 100 of the Fortune 500 companies from India? It's very close to you, I hope. Will you be remembered for facilitating for creation of 100 Pura, providing urban amenities in the rural areas in your region to achieve balanced and inclusive socio-economic development, 100% literacy, value-added education for all, and conflict-free society? Will you be remembered for becoming the pioneer in developing the smart waterways in the states and interlinking the rivers in the nation? Will you be remembered for revitalizing or revolutionizing the integrated primary healthcare center in a public-private participation model? Will you be remembered for working and creating a validated system for production of 340 million tons of food grains and value addition through food processing by the year 2020? Will you be remembered for modernization of 10 billion small-scale industries and addition of another million by providing private equity funding ventures, bankers, whether become a banker? Will you be participated in the mission of plantation and nurturing 1 billion trees to become a leader in environment-friendly missions? Will you be remembered as a venture capital banker by introducing the unique private equity funding for the ideas that will bring new dimension to the society? Will you be remembered for bringing an integrated policy for energy independence for the nation and the mitigation of the risks of climate change? Will you be remembered for action-oriented clean home, clean environment, clean state, and clean nation? Finally, will you be remembered for developing 1 million enlightened youth in your region who will participate in the accelerated societal transformation of the nation? Some of you will be taking up the leadership role in the crucial areas of national development. Above all, you will agree with me, all the above events we should realize based on the principle to work with integrity and succeed with integrity. With these words, my best wishes to the students of EPGB program for success in their vision of being a partner in the empowered nation. My best wishes to all of you. May God bless you, friends. You are not hungry for now. No time, please start. There's an order. Anyway, I can few one or two questions, definitely ask questions. Okay? Oh, a quick question. You can ask me. I am willing. If you are willing. Where are you? Yeah.
Thousands of youth like us graduate and we join corporations to transform them. Why can't we formalize or have those radical task forces under visionaries like you who would join the nation in transforming the nation rather than transforming the organization?
See, I want to tell you, this is the one problem we have in our country. We want to be orbit, we want to walk in the other's shadow. You walk on your shadow. It's very important. You think today onwards, I got a capacity. I will be the whole. Will you be remembered? You see the light. See the light. Whom do you remember? Thomas Alva Edison. Every day after this place at Bangalore, so many aircraft flying. Whom do you remember? Right, brothers. You have got each one of you 2 mobile telephones, 2 or 3. And you guys remember who? There is one Indian scientist. He was traveling from London to Calcutta, and he saw one evening the horizon was blue, sea was blue. He asked why. He got a Nobel Prize. Who is that? Sir Sri Raman. So I want to be a unique fellow. You be remembered like that. Not you don't walk on shadows of somebody. You walk on your shadow. Okay. Yes, sir? All hungry guys. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Karthik. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I serve as the Chief Marketing Officer for an online micro-learning platform called Milap. When I was listening to you, you were talking about Pura, where you support rural entrepreneurs. So what we do is we actually fund all these rural entrepreneurs through an online micro-learning platform. So our problem is, when you see Indians, we are very weak on the giving side. We're always ready to receive, but not in a mode of giving. So my question is, why is it like that, and why can't we give 5% or 10% of monthly income to people to support projects in rural India?
See, I personally believe why it's happening. You see, your success as a NGO or whoever you are, your success going to be when you withdraw from your NGO task, that should work. Okay? That means you have to build a capacity building. Your online is fantastic, but you have to build the capacity building. You should be a great earning capacity man and women. Suppose he is fishing. You teach him how to value addition to the fish. Or he is cultivating vegetable. Teach him how to value addition to be a vegetable product and packaging, or a milk product. So that is the real capacity building. What our social activity is not just giving something getaway. We have to build the capacity to sustain. That's why throughout I am saying sustained development. Okay? Okay, friends. Now, since one guy has asked, in your talk, you are not talking about ethics, he said, even though I am talking throughout. If you don't mind, even though you are hungry, will you repeat with me what I said? Where Where you are not, you are hungry, I can see. Where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. Harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. Did you see one quality if you have? Beauty in the character possible, harmony in the home is possible, order in the nation possible, and peace in the world is possible. What's the one quality? Who will give the righteous the heart? Only 3 people can give. Okay? 3 people. Only is father, mother in a spiritual environment. Father, mother in a spiritual environment. Third one, can you guess? Primary school teacher. Friends, my talk, what I have given, it is available in the website www.abdulkalam.com. Our connectivity does not stop here. You can correspond with me, send a mail. Every day I see my mail, if it's a good mail. and also I will correspond with you, and I will. Any books? So I would like to congratulate you, because such a very important institution you are executive program you are going through. I wish you all the best. Always stand on your shadow. Always stand. Don't walk on anybody's shadow. So God bless you.
Don't follow. It was indeed enlightening. His Excellency, praise be to God. May I please request Dr. L. Prasad to come here and say some few words.
Confidence level is so high, right? I was asking my son, what do you think Dr. Kalam is going to do? And he said, Dr. Kalam is the spark that's going to light a fire in a number of people in the room. And given what you have said, sir, I'm sure there are a number of fires, and we're going to have both social as well as resource entrepreneurs to identify all the problems you have identified. So we really like to thank you very much and really appreciate your presence over here. Thank you.
So before we depart, I have a request for you. Can you write an inspirational message on the whiteboard over there for us to remember the event, please?
Ignited mind of the youth. Ignited mind of the youth. Ignited mind of the youth.
Just give him my
On the earth, above the earth, any source, above the earth, and on the earth, above the earth, and under the earth. You know this, how many people? 600 million people. I will read you again. Read all. Repeat with me. The united mind of the youth of India, 600 million people, is the most powerful resource on the earth, above the earth, and under the earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had an overwhelming experience. I would request you to please be seated before everybody departs calmly. Thank you very much for showing up and supporting us. Thank you.